Have you ever sat down just wanting peace, but your mind is full of doubt shouting inside, "Is this practice doing anything for me?" If you've ever felt that way, then this video is for you. A small journey into learning how to sit still in the noise and gently keep holding the Dharma as you walk on. If there is a moment that touches your heart, please let me know with a like, a small comment, or by sharing it with someone who needs support right now. And if you'd like to have a few more minutes each day to listen to the Buddha's teachings, I invite you to subscribe to Buddha's Loving Words and turn on the notification bell. Stay with this video until the end and let something quiet settle in your own heart. Who knows, beneath all the doubt and tiredness, you may discover a place of peace that has been quietly there inside you all along. When doubt shouts, remember your peace. There are seasons on the spiritual path when what exhausts us is not work, not other people, but the voice that rises inside our own mind. Is my practice doing any good? Do the Buddha's teachings really lead to peace? Or am I just clinging to a belief to comfort myself? These questions do not speak softly. They shout inside the heart. They are like someone turning an old, distorted speaker up to full volume, playing the same tired song over and over again. When doubt rises like that, we easily believe that it is the final truth. We believe that we are not good enough, not faithful enough, not wise enough to walk this path. In Buddhism, doubt, vicikiccha, is seen as one of the 5 hindrances. It can bind the mind, make it heavy and unstable, and keep it from resting in peace. But the interesting thing is this: the Buddha never taught us to close our eyes and ears to doubt. On the contrary, in the Kalama Sutta, he encouraged people not to believe too quickly. Not just because of tradition, not just because many people agree, not just because someone has power or authority. He urged us to examine for ourselves, to live the teaching, to experience it directly, and only then to place our trust. This means that doubt appearing on the path is not forbidden. The real question is, where do we stand in front of that doubt? Do we let it sink us completely? Or can we see it as a cloud moving across the sky while the sky itself is still there? There is a story often told in Buddhist teachings about a young novice monk. When he first ordained, he was very diligent. He received the precepts with deep reverence. Every morning he chanted sutras, swept the courtyard, served his teacher with a joyful heart. Just hearing the sound of the bell made his heart feel lighter. But after a few years, the hardships of monastic life began to show. His body grew tired from the schedule of practice. His mind was full of old thoughts. Sometimes he missed home and the comforts he once had. Then one day, after being gently corrected for a small mistake, he sat alone in the back garden of the temple. The voice of doubt began to shout, "Maybe I am not suited for monkhood. Maybe the Dharma is only for special people, not for someone like me. Why is it that the more I practice, the more confusion I feel?" At that moment, his teacher walked by and saw his heavy expression. The teacher did not scold him. He simply sat down beside him and asked, "When you first came to the monastery, what do you remember most?" The novice was silent for a while, then spoke softly. "Master, I remember the first time I knelt before the Buddha statue. I suddenly began to cry. I did not know why. I only felt as if something inside me became lighter." The teacher nodded and asked again, "Is there any other moment you remember?" The novice began to share more. "One early morning during chanting, I heard the great temple bell ringing in the dark. Suddenly, all the worries of the outside world felt very far away. And one afternoon, while sweeping leaves, I watched the sunlight fall across the courtyard, and my heart felt strangely peaceful." The teacher smiled. "Where are those moments now?" The novice replied, "Master, I do not know. Maybe they are only memories." The teacher said, "No, they are not just memories. They are the imprint of the Dharma in your heart. If the seed of peace were not already in you, then no matter how many times you knelt before a Buddha statue, nothing would have moved your heart at all. Because that knowing was already inside you, when you met the Dharma, it could resonate and ring within. Today, doubt is speaking very loudly. So you think it is the only truth. But do not forget, there have also been very peaceful moments. Those are true as well. The teacher's words touch the exact place of his pain. Sometimes when doubt shouts loudly, the most dangerous thing is not the doubt itself, but the way we let it take over the entire stage of our mind. We look at our whole spiritual life through one tired day, one disappointment, one meditation session where the mind was chaotic. It is like looking at an entire forest through a single, withered leaf, then quickly concluding, the whole forest is dead. This is the same pattern we fall into in ordinary life. One painful event, one argument, one collapse, and we forget how many times we have stood back up, have smiled again, have tasted peace again. Buddhist teaching gives us a very important key, mindfulness, and mindfulness of our peaceful memories. We usually use memory to replay our wounds. We remember the words that hurt us. We remember the mistakes we made. But memory can also become a kind friend if we choose to remember the times when the Dharma touched our heart. This is not a nostalgic regret like, I used to practice better than now. It is a clear recognition. In this stream of consciousness, there is already a seed of peace. There have been moments when I truly lived from that place. When we sit down and feel our mind is too noisy, instead of trying to crush our doubt, we can take a few deep breaths and gently call back those moments. Remember a time you did not react in your old habitual way because the Buddha's teaching helped you stop and listen. Remember a time when you were very sad, but simply sat quietly, listening to a sutra or a short verse, and your tears fell while your heart became clearer. Remember a time you were able to forgive someone, when in the past you would have held on to resentment for a very long time. All of these are living traces of the Dharma. They are proof that the path you walk is not just imagination. To remember, here, is not to cling to the past, but to recognize the wholesome seeds you have already planted. These peaceful experiences from the past give you more trust that even if the present is hard, there is something real in this path. Like a mountain climber who meets a steep slope and wants to turn back. If he remembers how many slopes he has already climbed, his legs gain a little more strength to take the next step. The path has not suddenly become flat, but his inner strength is no longer drained by doubt. The Buddha never promised that anyone who practices will always feel light, always feel comfortable, always feel full of inspiration. In fact, the deeper we go, the more layers of darkness inside us are brought into the light. That can be overwhelming. But he gave us a place to rely on, the three jewels, the Dharma, and the small fruits we have already tasted. When doubt shouts loudly, let those fruits speak. Do not let a passing storm in the mind erase the memory of all the blue skies you have known. Maybe today you are exactly in that season. You sit down and your head is full of arguments, counter-arguments, and rejection. If so, you do not need to fight doubt. Just breathe gently and call it by its name. Hello, doubt. I know you are here. Then remember a time you were truly peaceful, even if only for a few minutes. Let that memory become a small candle in a dark room. It will not chase away all the darkness at once, but it is enough to let you see there is still a little light. And sometimes just that much is enough to keep you on the path. Do not fear your questions. Learn from doubt. When we walk on the spiritual path, many of us share the same quiet fear, but rarely dare to say it out loud. We are afraid of our own questions. Each time a doubt about the teachings arises, about the path, about the Dharma, we flinch inside. Am I lacking faith? Is thinking like this disrespectful to the Buddha, to my teacher, to the Sangha? So instead of looking directly at our questions, we step back. We avoid them. We try to lull ourselves with a vague kind of belief. Just believe. Why ask so much? It only makes things harder. But faith like that is usually very thin. Just a small wind of suffering or disappointment can blow it away. In the Buddha's teaching, doubt is listed as one of the hindrances. It can numb the mind, take away our courage, and keep us from practicing or moving forward. But doubt is not always the enemy. It is like fire. If we do not know how to use fire, it can burn down a house. But if we use it well, it can cook our food and warm our home. Doubt is the same. If we let it drag us into a spiral of denial, judgment, and opposition, it destroys our faith. But if we know how to use it in the right way, doubt can become a very strict teacher. It forces us to dig deeper, to look carefully, and to experience truth for ourselves. The Kalama Sutta is a clear example of this. The people of the Kalama tribe heard many teachers and holy men pass through their village. Each one said that his own teaching was correct and the others were wrong. The villagers became confused and full of doubt. They came to the Buddha and shared their confusion with him. What is striking is that the Buddha did not say, "Just believe in me, do not doubt anymore." He did not say, "Doubting like this is a sin." Instead, he said, "Do not accept something just because it is tradition. Do not accept it just because it is written in Scripture. Do not accept it just because people talk about it. Do not accept it just because many people believe it. Do not accept it just because you respect a teacher. Look for yourself. See what happens in your own life. If practicing something makes greed, hatred, and delusion grow, then let it go. If practicing something brings up loving kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, and true peace, then keep it close. Here, doubt is not condemned. It is transformed into fuel for wisdom. We doubt so that we can see more clearly. We doubt so that we can examine deeply. We doubt so that we can taste the Dharma for ourselves. There is another beautiful story. When the Buddha was still alive, he had a disciple named Upali. Upali first belonged to another religion. He deeply respected his former teacher. After hearing the Buddha teach, faith arose in Upali's heart. He wanted to take refuge right away, but the Buddha told him to think very carefully. He told Upali to go home, reflect more, and not to abandon his former teacher too quickly unless he was truly sure. A great teacher who encourages a potential disciple to continue doubting, to continue examining, is something very rare. Through this, we see that the Buddha did not want followers who believed in him out of emotional excitement. He wanted students who dared to use wisdom to shine light on their own faith. When such people finally place their trust, that trust has deep roots. It is not easily shaken. In modern spiritual life, we deeply need this same attitude. If we are afraid of questions, if we treat all doubt as something sinful, we will create two layers inside the mind. On the outside, we appear very devout. We nod, we put our palms together, we say all the right words. But on the inside, there are many dark corners that have never been touched. We do not really understand what impermanence means. We do not know how letting go is different from running away. We do not know what no self means without falling into indifference. These questions are pushed down into the basement of the mind. They are not allowed to come up. Then one day, when a big life crisis hits, all of them rise up at once and break apart the thin shell of faith we tried to build. In truth, on the spiritual path, there are times when our questions are actually signs of growth. In the beginning, when we first come to the Dharma, we only need comforting words. We need to be soothed. But as we go on, we see that the Buddha's teaching is not just gentle poetry to sing us to sleep. It is a sharp needle that pierces straight into our delusion. We hear about impermanence and we wonder, if everything changes, what can I rely on? We hear about no self and we feel uneasy. If there is no me, then who suffers? Who practices? Who awakens? We hear about letting go and we ask, if I let go of everything, will I become irresponsible and no longer able to love anyone? If these questions are brought into the light and held with mindfulness and wisdom, they help us go deeper into the Dharma, instead of keeping us at the doorway, repeating a few pretty phrases. Imagine someone learning meditation. At first, they just sit quietly, follow their breath, feel a bit more relaxed, a bit less stressed. That seems enough. But later they begin to wonder, who is the I that is watching this breath? The one who knows the breath and the breath itself. Which one is me? If they are afraid of such questions, if they think, asking this is just overthinking, they will miss the chance to enter insight. But if they bring that question into their practice, not to argue, but to carefully look at their own living experience, layers of ego will slowly loosen. At that point, doubt becomes like a drill. If it is pointed in the right direction, it can pierce through the thick stone of ignorance and open a path for the spring of understanding to flow out. To learn from doubt, we need to see two kinds of questions. There are questions born from the wish to see clearly, and there are questions born from the wish to destroy. Questions that come from the wish to see clearly are usually gentle and humble. I don't understand yet, so I want to ask. I want to experience more. They accept that some truths take a long time to sink in, so they do not rush to reject anything. Questions that come from the wish to destroy are different. They often carry a sarcastic tone, full of pride, using doubt like a coat to cover their own fear. That kind of doubt really is a hindrance because it shuts every door and lets nothing new enter the heart. On the path, we can practice a healthier way to be with doubt. Do not hold it as absolute truth, but do not push it away either. When a question appears in the heart, we can bring it to a teacher or a spiritual friend with more experience. We can also bring it into our sitting. We breathe with it. We look at it not as an enemy, but as a guest knocking at the door. We can quietly ask inside, this doubt is trying to protect what part of me? What is it afraid of losing? What does it want me to look at more deeply? With this attitude, doubt becomes a dialogue, not a war. When we are no longer afraid of questions, we begin to grow in true faith. Faith is no longer something we accept just to feel safe. It is trust that has passed through fog, confusion, and even mental pain. It is faith that has been forged, like a bar of iron passing through fire and hammer before becoming strong. The Buddha did not want his disciples to be people who only repeat his words. He wanted them to be people who come and see, who see with their own eyes, not just through the stories of others. And to see in that way, sometimes we have to walk across the rough land of doubt and allow our sincere questions to lead us closer to the truth instead of running away. Sitting still amid the noise, choosing clarity. Some days you sit down on your cushion, truly wanting to practice, but as soon as the body becomes still, the mind turns noisy like a busy marketplace. One thought follows another. Old memories come back. Plans for tomorrow appear. You replay what someone said yesterday. Unfinished problems show up. Worries about money, health, family. All of it turns on at once, like a wall of sound. You start to feel, I just cannot practice like this. You quickly decide, my mind is not made for meditation, or I must be practicing wrong. The more I sit, the more chaotic it gets. So after just a few minutes, you stand up and tell yourself a story. Spiritual practice is for people whose minds are naturally calm, not for someone like me. But if we look with the eye of the Dharma, those noisy moments do not prove that you have failed. In fact, it is often exactly when you sit still that you finally see all the noise that has always been there. In the busy flow of daily life, you rarely notice it because you are running with it, speaking from it, reacting through it. Only when the body stops does the mind have a chance to show everything it has been carrying. So we can say, the very moment you see how noisy your mind is actually the first sign of awakening. You have begun to see. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha teaches us to contemplate body, feelings, mind, and mental objects with clear knowing. To know here does not mean to fix things immediately or to demand some special state. It simply means to see what is there. If the mind is restless, know that it is restless. If the mind is scattered, know that it is scattered. No extra commentary. So when you sit down and notice, wow, it is really loud in here, that is not failure. That is the first step of mindfulness. There is a little story often told in Zen and meditation circles. A young meditator came to his teacher, complaining that every time he sat, his mind felt like a marketplace, full of voices, images, and restless thoughts. He felt ashamed because he thought that as a practitioner, he should be able to keep his mind calm. After listening, the teacher just smiled gently and asked, "Before you started to meditate, were there fewer noises in your mind?" The student was startled. "Teacher, I don't know. Before this, I had never sat still to look inside." The teacher said, "Then do not be so hard on yourself. Those noises have been there for a very long time. It is just that now you are beginning to see them. Your practice is not to make all the noise disappear right away. Your practice is to learn how to sit still, not run after the noise, and see it more and more clearly each day." One of the big misunderstandings for new practitioners is to confuse faith with a pleasant feeling. If we sit down and feel peaceful, our eyes become moist. We listen to a Dharma talk and feel deeply moved. We quickly think, now I truly have faith. But on the days when the mind is full of noise, when we sit down and only feel irritation and boredom, we think, I have lost my faith. In reality, in the deeper sense of the teaching, faith is not just a feeling. Faith is a choice. It is a decision we make again and again. Even when the mind is noisy, I still sit down. Even when my head is full of thoughts, I still put my palms together before the Buddha. Even when I feel no holy or special emotion, I still keep a small daily practice. Right at this point, we begin to understand what it means to choose clarity instead of demanding absolute certainty. We often want clear answers and permanent guarantees. If I practice like this, is success guaranteed? How long do I need to sit before my thoughts stop? How many years must I chant before my mind is always peaceful? We want certainty so that we do not have to face the foggy places inside our heart. But the teaching on impermanence reminds us that nothing in this life is as fixed as we want it to be, not even the pleasant experiences on the path. Today the mind is calm. Tomorrow it may shake. Today the Dharma feels close. Tomorrow it may feel far away. To demand a state that never changes is to go against the reality of impermanence that the Buddha himself pointed out. So instead of asking, how can I be absolutely sure? We can ask, how can my mind be a little clearer each day? Clarity here is not knowing everything. It is seeing more and more honestly. For example, in the past, whenever you were angry at someone, you believed they were completely wrong and you were completely right. After some time of practice, even though anger still arises, you start to see a bit more. Oh, they acted that way because they are also suffering, because of their habits, because of their situation. The anger has not vanished, but your way of seeing has become brighter. That is clarity. In the same way, when you sit in the middle of your own noise, if you can breathe and notice, my mind is wandering to work. It is worrying about my family. It is afraid of the future. And you simply notice that, without adding a layer of judgment, then in that very moment, a small light of mindfulness is already there. You are no longer completely swept away. There is a part of you that is standing aside, just watching. That watcher is the seed of clarity growing in you. There is an image in Buddhism that can help us a lot: the sky and the clouds. The Buddha and the great teachers often say our true mind is like the wide, open sky. Our thoughts and feelings, including doubt and noise, are like passing clouds. To sit calmly in the middle of noise does not mean we must blow away all the clouds at once. It means we learn to remember that we are the sky, not only the clouds. When the mind is full of thoughts, instead of saying, I am a mess, I am a failure, I cannot practice, we can say, in this moment, many thoughts are passing through the sky of my mind. It sounds small, but it reminds us not to identify completely with the noise. There was once a practitioner who came to a Zen master and said, "Master, I have meditated for many years, but my mind is still full of thoughts. I feel so discouraged." The master asked, "Do you see those thoughts?" The practitioner replied, "Yes, I see them very clearly." The master nodded. "That is good. When you no longer see them, when they drag you around and you have no idea, that is when you should worry. Right now, the clear seeing itself is a sign of awakening." The story is simple, but it points to something deep. Real practice does not mean there is no more noise. It means that over time we see more and more clearly the true nature of that noise. So when you sit in the middle of your inner noise, you do not need to force yourself into a special state. Just keep a gentle attitude toward yourself. Notice that you are thinking, that you are worrying, that you are afraid. Then softly return to the breath, to the feeling of your body touching the ground. You may have to repeat this simple act of notice and return 100 times in one sitting. But every time you return, you plant one more seed of clarity. Over time, you will see that the noise no longer terrifies you the way it used to, because right in the middle of it, you have learned how to walk one small, mindful step at a time. To choose clarity is to accept a slow, patient path, without guarantees, without chasing blissful feelings at any cost. It is to quietly do one simple thing. Today, whether my mind is noisy or calm, I still sit down. Today, even if the questions remain, I still put my palms together before the Buddha. Today, even if I am not sure about anything, I still choose one mindful breath to be fully present with myself. These small actions, repeated many times, weave a new kind of faith, soft, unpretentious, but solid like a tree whose roots have sunk deep into the earth. Holding the Dharma lightly, faith and inquiry. On the spiritual path, we do not always walk with a heart burning with inspiration. There are stretches where we move forward as if dragging our feet. The mind is tired, the body is weary. The beautiful ideals of the beginning, "I will be diligent, I will practice all the way to the end," suddenly feel very far away. In those moments, a very honest question appears. What keeps me on this path? It is usually not a powerful Dharma talk. It is not a wave of emotional inspiration. Most of the time, it is something very simple. My hand is still gently holding the Dharma, not letting go. In the teachings, the Buddha spoke about 5 spiritual faculties, 5 strengths: faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Faith comes first, wisdom comes last. These two are not enemies. They rely on each other like the 2 wings of a bird. With only one wing, it cannot fly. Faith without wisdom easily becomes blind belief in superstition. Wisdom without faith easily becomes dry theory and destructive doubt. To hold the Dharma lightly means we allow faith and inquiry to walk together. One keeps us humble, the other keeps us moving. There is a story told about a monk in the time of the Buddha. In his early years, he was very diligent. Day and night, he meditated, chanted sutras, served his teacher, and studied the Dharma. But as the years passed, he did not attain any spiritual achievement the way he imagined. He did not experience special meditative states. He did not have the grand spiritual experiences he heard others talk about. Slowly, a quiet discouragement grew in his heart. Maybe my capacity is low. Maybe I chose the wrong path. Maybe going back to a normal life would be easier. One day he gathered his courage, came to the Buddha, bowed, and confessed his wish to leave the monastic life. The Buddha did not scold him and did not praise him either. He simply asked, "Since the day you left the lay life behind, in what ways have you lived differently from before?" The monk thought for a while, then slowly answered, "Bhagavan, I am less quick-tempered than before. My anger is not as strong. I am no longer so obsessed with sensual pleasure as I once was. I feel ashamed when an unwholesome thought arises in my mind. I also feel more compassion for those who suffer, and it is easier for me to forgive. The Buddha asked, "Do you think these things are nothing? If you had never met the Dharma, could you live as you live now?" The monk was silent for a long time. Suddenly he realized that all this time he had been chasing some kind of achievement for his spiritual ego, while the small but very real changes in his daily life had been ignored. His hand had been holding the Dharma and walking with it for quite a distance. He had simply forgotten to look back at his own footsteps. Seeing this, his discouragement softened. He asked to continue practicing, not with the excitement of the early days, but with a faith that was more mature, more gentle. That is what it means to hold the Dharma lightly. Not gripping it tightly with the mind of ownership, my Dharma, my practice, my attainment, but also not dropping it every time we feel tired. If we hold too tightly, we easily become tense. We start comparing, competing, wanting progress to be fast, wanting our path to be special, and in the end, we burn out. If we let go completely, we drift back into old habits and let our life be driven by ignorance. To hold lightly means that every day we still put our palms together before the Buddha. We still give a little time to mindfulness. We still return to the breath, to each step, to a heart of compassion, even when there is no spiritual feeling at all. This kind of faith is not blind, because it always walks with investigation. Inquiry here does not only mean reading more sutras or listening to more talks. It means checking the teachings against our own lived experience. When we hear the Buddha teach impermanence, we do not just nod and move on. We look and ask, in one single day, how many times does my mind change? How many things I thought were forever have already changed, broken, or disappeared? When we hear about no self, we do not just repeat the concept, we experiment. When I am less rigid about my opinion is right, when I stop insisting that my feelings are the most important, how does the energy in my family change? How much does my inner suffering decrease? This process of testing deepens our faith. We do not believe just because someone tells us to. We believe because we have seen, tasted, and touched. Every small act of practice is one more way we verify the Dharma. When we see that we are truly a little less greedy, a little less angry, a little less confused, because we applied the Buddha's teaching, we naturally gain more trust to keep going. This kind of faith does not need applause. It does not need any certificate. It is like a small underground stream. At first, it is barely noticeable, but it keeps flowing, and over time, it becomes a clear, steady spring. However, inquiry without faith can fall into a different trap. We can turn the Dharma into a topic of research, analysis, and debate. We read a lot, we speak well, our arguments are sharp, but when we face real suffering, a loss, an illness, a betrayal by someone we love, we discover we have no true refuge. In that moment, what keeps us from collapsing is not the amount of information we hold, but the place where we have dared to lay down our heart. Right faith in the Dharma does not tell us to run away from reality. It gives us the courage to look straight at it, because we know there is a path. Think back to the times you were more courageous than you believed. The first time you dared to apologize to someone, even though your ego fought against it. The first time you let go of a toxic relationship, even though your heart was full of fear. The first time you sat still with your sadness, instead of rushing out to find something to numb it. In those moments, were you not supported by a very thin, but very real thread of faith? Faith that living more kindly, more mindfully, would make life more meaningful. Faith that the Buddha's words are not just decoration, but can actually pull you back from a few cliffs inside your own mind. When you remember those brave moments, you see that you are not empty-handed. Each decision to move in a brighter direction, even a small one, is a sign that the Dharma has already entered your life. Today, if you are tired, if you are unsure, If the path feels too long, take a look back at the steps you have already taken. Not to feel proud, but to recognize that you have not been standing still. You have already walked through darkness. You have already chosen not to give up. So now, even if you cannot see the whole road ahead, you can still take one more step. To hold the Dharma lightly means just that. You do not always have to be on fire, but do not let the flame go out. Feed it with small practices. A bit of reading sutras, a short time of sitting quietly, a bit of extra care in the way you speak and act. Let faith and inquiry always walk together. When you see that you believe but do not yet understand, go and learn more. When you see that you understand but your heart feels dry, return to practice to water your faith. Little by little, the path stops being something far away. It becomes the very way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you love, and the way you live each day. If anything in today's video gently touched your heart, you can let me know with a like, a small comment, or by sharing it with someone who might need a bit of support. And if you'd like each day to include a few more minutes of listening to the Buddha's teachings, I invite you to subscribe to Buddha's Loving Words and turn on the notification bell. Thank you for staying until the very end of the video. May you always keep a small corner of peace amid all the noise inside your mind.
From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for supporting Buddha's Loving Words. May the teachings of the Buddha continue to touch every heart, bringing peace and happiness.